Hi, Janae here again. And I have Ferndale Farmstead here. And so I've got Daniel Waverin, the cheesemaker at Ferndale Farmstead. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what you do and what's going on out at Ferndale now.
Right on. Well, thanks for having us, Janae. Appreciate it. I've got Lydia here. She's my wife, and she's our marketing director, so she'll be kind of helping me keep on track, hopefully. But we're pretty much just hanging out on the farm today. You can't quite see through the doors with the glare, but I move around a little bit. Maybe you guys can kind of see we're right on the farm. That's Kevin's house in the background, and just kind of sit down for a minute. We're making cheese today, but it's good to talk to you.
Awesome. So tell me, we're a little scratchy on the audio. So, that country internet is a beast. So we'll just do our best to work around that. So tell me about Ferndale Farmstead.
Well, Ferndale Farmstead is a farmstead cheese-making operation. It's family owned and operated. So me and my father started it. We have been making cheese just for about 5 years on the farm. So we're kind of new to the cheese-making thing. We've been farming for a lot longer than that with the cows and the crops. But we started kind of the idea of doing a cheese project to get people out on the farm and find a way for us to really highlight the quality of the milk that we have here in the Pacific Northwest.
All right. What kind of cheeses do you make?
We make all Italian style cheeses under the Ferndale Farmstead brand. I started down the path about 9 years ago, ironically in like March or April. So just crossing my sort of cheese making anniversary during this weird period. But it's been 9 years, surprisingly. I started out to make like kind of all different types of world cheeses. I wanted to make like Mexican style cheese, American style cheese, Swiss style cheese. Those are kind of the main three that I really was interested in. But as we were sort of exploring the market Northwest, we realized that there's nobody making a lot of fresh mozzarella or Italian style cheeses like Asiago, Fontina, and stuff like that. So in 2015, we set out to create a brand of Italian cheeses that really focuses on the kind of culinary history that Italy has in cheese.
And there's something a little special about your guys' cheeses too, right? Like those special
Yeah,
cultures you guys get.
we do have some secrets for sure, and one of those, which is not a secret, I tell everybody there's like three things or four things that I think as a cheesemaker set our cheese apart. One of which for sure is the cultures and rennet, which we bring from Naples over in the southern region of Italy known as Campania. And Campania is really like the home of the original place of mozzarella and pizza, Neapolitan style pizza. So they really have always been the best in the world at making mozzarella, and we're lucky to be able to sort of tap into their tradition, their history, their knowledge, and we've got a lot of help from them all throughout this project. And in particular, we're still very lucky to be able to access the cultures that cheesemakers in Italy use to make the Asiago, the level that you can find in the store, or the Fontina Val d'Aosta that you can find in the store. Or even mozzarella di bufala. They're using these real traditional cultures that they've had for decades or more.
How was your business beforehand? Like, what were you like widely distributed? Are you guys pretty much just Pacific Northwest distributed? Like, what does that kind of look like for the farmstead?
Well, like I said, we're new, like only 5 years old, so really everything. We are in distribution, we do direct sales, we do farmers markets, we do events, we do everything that we can to sell cheese, really and literally, other than mail order, I guess. We've never really set up our web program to do e-commerce. So that's a little bit of a challenge for us right now when it would really come in handy. But other than that, we've pretty much used every channel that we can to sell the cheese. And our mission has always been to make cheese for our county, our state, Washington, which we consider like local, and then our region as the West Coast. So I just think that we're still kind of focused on that same business model, like staying pretty regional, pretty local, and not having any real plans to like go across the nation, for us is still the same. And I think this sort of reinforces it with this whole virus fiasco. I think local partners that we've built relationships with over the short term, even just 5 years, have really been what's made it possible for our business to continue, even just over the last 1 to 2 months.
Awesome. I love, my locals. I love my local guys. So with that being said, what has now changed with everything that's going on with COVID?
Well, we're taking it week by week like everybody else, I think. We're farmers, so we're sort of used to ongoing struggles, whether that's the price of milk going up and then down, or a bad year in terms of weather where crops suffered. So there's lots of different things that year to year we always deal with. Obviously, this is the first type of incident that anybody's seen like this. But we're just thankful to be hanging in there so far. We haven't had to close our doors. Luckily, we still have the ability to keep making cheese and have employees still keep coming and working, which for me like is the main thing. Making safe cheese and then providing for my team is like my main two goals these days. It is a small team, so it's important that their families are taken care of, and we're just trying everything we can to keep cheese moving out the doors, even if that's donations or however we can, really.
Awesome. So I mean, what kind of strategies have you put into place to sell through some of that cheese? I know that like Hagen did a big promotion, which Hagen's a local chain. They did a really big promotion with all of our Washington cheeses where it was a BOGO, buy one, get one. Is there any other strategies that you guys have been using to get through some of that stuff?
It's pretty tough. Like for us, we make fresh cheese. Fresh mozzarella is one of the main cheese that we make and that you can find out in the grocery stores. But we also sell that to restaurants, which have been, hit worse than anybody by this. And so that part of our business is definitely like tanked. And actually, we've seen partners completely go away and channels close down, which is sad. Like on a personal level, I guess, but from the business side, it's been kind of tough to readjust and pivot as we see, like I said, like total parts of our business just go away, like completely 1 week be healthy and fine and something that we're like counting on, and then 1 week just not be there has kind of been surprising. So I guess what we've tried to do to manage stock is freeze some of our curd like that we're sending to the restaurants, and advising them to do the same. Just freezing the cheese can sometimes buy a week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks even. That makes it to where it can still be sold and still be used rather than have to go to the recycling or to a food bank or something like that. So we're trying to do, like I said, everything we can. We've made some donations to try to just kind of keep everybody on the same schedule here, but we can only do so much of that. Um,
Worked a lot more with our CSA partners. So really trying to see people's buying habits. Everyone's shopping online. So recognizing that and adapting to that. Locally too, we have great CSA partners here in Whatcom County, but also trying to look in Seattle markets as well as on other parts of the state has, I think, allowed us to be more creative in how we sell our cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, I think promotions really have been the best. Like donations, you can only do so much of, but promotions, at least they keep the cheese moving. And you're offering a value to people right now that really are struggling and need to find an affordable, protein and nutrient-rich food. So I think promotions really is like the best strategy I could recommend. It helps the people out there in that they can put more food in their cart, and then it helps us on the farms in that we can kind of just keep making and try to keep things consistently flowing as much as we can, because farms, as everybody I think is pretty well aware, they can't stop. Like there's no such thing as stopping to milk a cow. It doesn't happen. The cows have to get milked regardless of any human or worldly activity, basically. So we got to keep stuff moving. And for us, promotions and seeing people step up, in our communities, whether it's grocery stores that are local, like Hagen's, you mentioned it, a buy one, get one free, or even, the small shops, like, cheese shops that are offering great deals, like for pickup, restaurants that are doing take home stuff, at home pizza kits with our mozzarella, curd, and dough. Those efforts are really like inspiring me, honestly, as a cheesemaker from all different, like I said, sizes. Even Safeway, like some of the biggest companies that sell cheese, are taking it upon themselves to find ways to offer value and offer deals and offer free cheese to the customers. And I think that's like one of the coolest things I've seen yet in my cheese journey over the last 9 years.
Yeah, I saw somebody in the Facebook chat saying that QFC was doing a promotion with you guys too. So that's awesome. I love hearing that. So you guys do some hard cheeses. So how has this affected your affinage process at all?
Affinage is getting busier, actually. Other than like freezing some curd, that's a little bit more like on the kind of the cold storage side. But in affinage, where we're specifically working with Asiago, Fontina, our kind of round bale grana style, Parmesan style cheeses, we're just putting up more of those at the moment. Our strategy has been to sort of shift into these more stable cheeses that are either more shelf stable. That means like harder, able to be aged for 6 months, or if we have to, a year or a year and a half. We really don't know how long this is going to last. So trying to put aged cheeses up has been a big priority of mine, to kind of shift our production that way and just stick to cheeses that are a little bit more stable. I've got a lot of recipes I'd love to work on, but right now focusing on the stuff that like people need and that they use every day, like mozzarella, is kind of been our main strategy. Like mozzarella, the main kind of staple cheese, and then the aged cheese that hopefully we can sell once things go a little bit more back to normal.
Yeah. Well, now that things have been kind of evening out a little bit, like we're kind of in a holding pattern, if you will, because it was like everything changed overnight, and now we're just kind of seeing things kind of mellow out a little bit and this newish normal start to take over. Have you seen any kind of emerging buying patterns that you hadn't noticed before, or new things on the horizon that you're kind of like, oh, that's interesting?
Well, I think the online shopping thing for groceries is obviously taking off. Like we've got pregnant and family members that have just had children, babies, that really don't want to go to the grocery stores, even though it is, as safe as it can possibly be. And so I think I'm seeing more of them like try something like online shopping for the first time, and even CSAs. We've been getting a lot of calls from, like I said, our CSA kind of meal box customers that are putting together cheese and other foods and sending to your door, or allowing you to pick up at sort of like an aggregation location. Those CSA delivery box programs seem to be like going up. So that's
Yeah.
definitely new.
Another buying pattern, because I do a lot of our grocery shopping, and I like to people watch, especially Cheese Island, is people aren't scared to try new things right now. I think they're like definitely more explorative. They're picking up cheeses they probably wouldn't have picked up if they weren't forced to spend a little bit more time and think about what they have to buy. And now that no one can go out and get cocktails or a fancy cheese board, they're doing these things at home. They're definitely looking up recipes or going on Instagram, or even TikTok is like, huge on the recipe thing, cheese boards, and making their own charcuterie boards at home. So that's been really interesting, seeing people get creative and picking up a blue cheese they probably wouldn't have picked up. I was at Hagen the other day, and the promo has been helping people pick up blue cheese that's locally made in Whatcom County, or goat cheese that they probably wouldn't have picked up if they weren't curious about it. So that's been really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I had mentioned this in my Instagram stories, but the Central Market by my house was doing the pizza night with your guys' stuff, and totally inspired me to be like, we need to have pizza nights.
Yeah.
Pizza's good. So we've been eating a lot of pizza, and um, it's cool to like see people really use local foods in a new way that they're kind of like forced to, I guess, in a way. Like, it was easy to just buy pizza and call up the pizza place and not really worry about it. But now that we're focused on staying in our homes and making food ourselves a little bit more, for me, I know I've like um, cut going out. Like, it's difficult for Nydia because she does all the cooking in our house, and I stopped going out to feed myself. So the work has doubled for her pretty much.
Has this time at all given you the opportunity to try any new projects, or have you just been pretty much like trying to figure out what to do?
It's definitely, I'd say, like we're doing a lot of visioning right now. I'm a big believer in vision and like trying to get your ideas on paper and really like honed in on um, before you start a new project. And so I'm kind of slow in starting new projects in that way, I guess, but I'm doing a lot of that. I'm doing a lot of visioning, which, it'll pay off one day maybe, but a lot of visions, and I'm calling them quarantine dreams right now.
I mean, we're having a lot of those, I feel like. So
Right now, my main one, like I guess the new project that I'm starting is called Daniel's Artisan. You guys might be sort of familiar with it. It's like my Cheesemakers signature line, kind of special one-off collaborations with other Pacific Northwest artisans. And so thinking of new ideas there, how to incorporate some new beer into a cheese, or like a new ingredient like truffle I still have on my list. So just kind of trying to think of things and play with stuff in the mind a little bit, since we don't have a lot of ways to go out and show people new stuff. Like our farmers markets are one of my favorite ways to like show people new products and new ideas, and even just new packaging and stuff, like anything really. They're so open, but without that channel this year, I'm kind of stuck, creatively
yeah,
stuck.
that's unfortunate because I've tasted some of your delicious concoctions and it's fun. And a farmer's market is a good way of getting through some of that stuff too, because you can kind of gauge what people's interests are on those things. So, um,
Good value.
do you think that there's any successful tactics that you've kind of pulled through these last couple months that you'll continue on even after this is over with? Like, is there something that you've done that you've been like, wow, that was like the perfect thing that we needed?
You know, I wouldn't say anything like a golden bullet that I could offer anybody. We're lucky to have, I would say, a pretty diverse product mix to start with. Um, we're always, trying to find new ways to tap into local food channels, whether that's at a restaurant or a deli or at the cheese counter. And so I think trying to find cheeses that fit those three different venues and trying to have kind of a diverse product mix that, if, say, restaurants suddenly can't serve people, you still have a cheese that people go to the grocery store for every day. That's really important, I feel like, now more than ever. But really, as I've been getting into cheese and in the business now for 5 to 9 years, I guess 5 to 10 years, it's just really clear, like looking at different business models, it's pretty important to have a diverse product mix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What recommendations would you have for a cheese business that's kind of just getting their feet off the ground now in the middle of all of this? Is there something that you would say outside of diversifying that you would suggest kind of adding into their business plan to kind of make things run a little bit smoother or be a little bit more prepared for something like this? Though I hope we never have to go through it again.
Seriously, I seriously hope we don't have to go through anything like this anytime soon, at the very least. But for others, I think they're just starting out. I think it's interesting to look at other types of products and other businesses that are small craft businesses. I've kind of seen like a lot of our distillery friends that are switching to producing hand sanitizer, which is like a totally different product, but it's something that they can kind of pivot to and used to address the situation that people are looking for more day-to-day needs, not like, a nice fancy bottle of gin. But
Okay, well then, let's see. The final question, I guess, would be, how can mongers, shop owners, distributors, how can they collaborate with you to kind of help you guys out to move through some of that product and get things to the end consumer?
I think the easy, obvious answer is buy local. Um, Buy local, but I think the second part of that I want to add is keep buying local. After this stops and after you go back to your day-to-day life, please don't go back to your old food purchasing habits. I mean, it's really inspiring, like I said right now, to see the power of people's choice when they want to buy local or support local. They can really make sure that we remain here tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. But it's really easy, I think, to kind of forget that you have purchasing power when you go to the grocery store every day and every year, not just this year. But it's really important to, I think, buy local and keep buying it. It should always be like this in terms of supporting local family farms that are making your food with passion and love. I really think that there's something intrinsically valuable about people that work with love and passion. And when you're working in your community for your community, it's so much more possible to do that. I've seen that for myself and my crew and everybody that I've come in contact with here.
Various sound issues. Um, so I hate to do this to cut this short, but technology is not in our favor at the moment. But I hope that we got through some, we got a chance to talk about your cheese, and I'm actually going to go stretch some of your curd with my friend Steph Orr on her Instagram in just a few minutes. So I just want to appreciate you guys for being here, and thank you so much for doing what you do, because I love your cheese. So